The Watermelon Glow Sleep Mask from Glow Recipe. Is this worth the money? This is a K-beauty product that you beautiful butterflies wanted an ingredient deep dive on. So you know that if you ask, I shall do my best to dig into the science. I want to share my personal experience with this product because I have used it. There are some people who should not use it and some people that I think should. But we're also going to go through every single ingredient one by one, explain how they work with the skin, and then I'm going to do my best to cite every single resource and reference that I used, which I will try to list in the bottom tab, but I also have my notes on for here. So when it comes to this is a K-beauty line, K-beauty meaning Korean beauty. Korea is really, I would say, the leader when it comes to cosmetic surgery and understanding innovative skincare and ingredients. And while that is great, a lot of K-beauty products are tested on animals and sold in China, which is not always cool. This one, specifically Glow Recipe as a brand, is a great line because they do not sell in China through those methods that require animal testing. So that's pretty spiffy. Also, a lot of their products I found contain a lot of natural botanicals or really healthy, quote unquote, healthy ingredients. Now, the only thing is that if you do have sensitivity to fragrance or if you do have very sensitive skin, this might not be right for you. But again, we're gonna go through these one by one. So then the second question is, well, what is a sleeping mask? I know what a face mask is, but what is a sleeping mask? I believe that a sleep mask is just a marketing term. It's just a way to get you to spend more money. But it is good because you shouldn't be using this as a moisturizer. A sleep mask is something that you wear for 8 hours while you sleep, or 6 if you're like me. And if you're only sleeping for 6 or 8 hours, it's basically a cream or a gel or something that you put on the skin for that entire time. Now, the reason I think that they're not calling this a straight out moisturizer, to me it feels a lot like a moisturizer, but the reason why is because this has some ingredients that you should not go into the sun with, specifically glycolic and lactic acids. Those are AHA acids. And while those are amazing for scars, for skin, for decreasing redness, and really just helping to exfoliate, it's not a good idea to go into the sun with those because they can cause what's called photosensitivity, making your skin more photo light sensitive. And you don't want to do that. So this is a night only product. And first let's talk about the feel and the scent. I've said this before, it smells like Jolly Ranchers, legit Jolly Ranchers. It goes on a little bit more tacky than their moisturizer. I prefer their watermelon moisturizer over this, and I prefer it for adult acne and for problematic skin. But this mask is pretty okay too. Now, the thing that you want to remember, at least for me, the way I approach skincare, I don't care what it smells like. I don't give a shit about what color it is. I care if it works. And so to me, the scent and the color and the feel even comes second to how it's actually going to impact my skin. As someone who's struggled with acne, who still has scars, and who has some of these issues, I want something that's actually going to work. So let's dig into these ingredients, talk about each one and what they do for you. I personally think that this is best for someone who does have more dry skin. This is a very lightweight mask. It does not sit on the skin or create any sort of like super hydrating barrier that you feel, but it does extraordinarily help hydrate the skin extraordinarily well. So if you do have dry skin, I would highly recommend it. So let's dig into some of these ingredients. And the first one is water. Again, agua, pani, whatever you would like to call it, water is pretty good. And most of the other ingredients that we see here are water soluble, meaning they work well in water. Specifically, the two main claims on the front, which are which are AHA acids, which are the glycolic acid and the lactic acid. Both of those are water soluble, so this is great. Now, the second ingredient that it does have is this hyaluronic acid. And although it says hyaluronic acid on the front, they don't actually have a hyaluronic acid in here. If you look, they have sodium hyaluronate. And sodium hyaluronate is the salt derivative of hyaluronic acid. So it's not hyaluronic acid, but I would actually argue that it works the same way, if not better. It has a much smaller molecule, so it gets a lot deeper into the skin. Remember that the skin is made up of many layers, and you need products that get to the bottom. So the sodium hyaluronate does that. And it's also a humectant, meaning it grabs on and holds on to water. So just like you can hear the water in the pipes, it really grabs onto water and locks it into the skin. And even if you have dry skin, because of the other ingredients in here, it's doing that well. Now, salts by nature, sodium hyaluronate, you can't have more than like 4 or 5% inside of a formula. And the reason why is because otherwise your formula would literally become a salt. And because this is so gelatinous, I would assume that literally most of this is water. They have a couple thickeners later down inside of the ingredients list. Most of this is water, and you do have some good actives that work at lower concentrations, but I would assume that the sodium hyaluronate is under 4%, at least otherwise it like wouldn't have the stability that we need. So the next ingredient that we have in here is glycerin. Glycerin is otherwise known as glycerol. Glycerol is actually a laxative. Again, do not eat your skincare, but it's actually used in food. And it's used in skincare as well. And when it's used in skincare, it is a very nice hydrator to the skin. We see this a lot in different products. You might even heard of glycerin soap. It's really great. And the fact that it's so high up here on the ingredients list is really wonderful. So let's see where we left off. The next ingredient is seaweed extract. Now this is fascinating. I've done a video debunking seaweed for acne before. A lot of people have heard that seaweed is supposed to be comedogenic, meaning it's going to cause acne, but the whole comedogenicity scale or comedogenic ratings are kind of off. And the reason why is because those tests were done 50 years ago, 80 years ago, in rabbit ears. And I'm sorry, my face does not look like a rabbit. It was shown that rabbit ears are much more sensitive to products than actual human skin was. So a lot of those results that we got were not accurate and shouldn't be used. And specifically, there was a research paper, a meta-analysis done in Taiwan in 2017 that looked at all of the benefits from seaweed in skin. And they have actually been shown to be slightly antibacterial to help people with acne. It specifically showed that it could benefit people who have acne, helps with redness. So again, decreasing redness, reducing oil production and regulating oil production, which is good for oily skin or for dry skin if your oil production is dysregulated. It was shown to be extraordinarily hydrating, and it actually worked to help rebuild the skin. So what happens is that while we live our lives, we're exposed to a lot of things that cause oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, eating bad, using bad products, destroying your skin, being in the sun, having pollution attack us, right? And reactive oxygen species are what are created through that process that really damage the skin. Specifically, these ROS, they can degrade collagen in the skin. Remember, collagen is what makes our skin bouncy, collagen and elastin. It's what makes our skin supple and young looking and fresh. And unfortunately, reactive oxygen species directly degrade the collagen in our skin. And so if we can rebuild that, we want to, right? Well, seaweed extract was shown in some of these studies to specifically work on MMP, I believe it was MMP2 and MMP9. So it inhibits these two things from happening that destroy the collagen in our skin. Therefore, I wouldn't say that seaweed rebuilds collagen, but it does stop the degradation from happening. This also showed that seaweed prevents UV-induced stress. So again, from being in the sun, we get UV damage, which degrades our collagen. Seaweed extracts applied to the skin could prevent that. So it's very good for acne. It is very good for anti-aging. Oh my goodness, we have a little flea fly flicker. We got flea fly flickers, my friends. But when it comes down to it, so seaweed is not something that you should be afraid of. It is something that you should look for. And through the studies that I have looked at and the meta-analyses that I have researched, it does not appear that seaweed is negative for acne. So I hope that kind of quells some of those questions. Additionally, the next ingredient that we have is simethicone. Simethicone is very similar to dimethicone. It is not exactly the same. Think of dimethicone and silica. These are still going to be very smoothing to the skin. This is what's found in primers, and it's what makes primers smooth onto your face so well. It is an anti-bubbling agent, essentially because you have water and a lot of plant extracts. Perhaps there are certain reactions that are happening within the formula that cause it to bubble. So simethicone can stop that bubbling from actually happening so that it becomes kind of this smooth and gelatinous texture instead of a bubbly, fizzy one. Look at that. It literally smells like watermelon Jolly Ranchers. Did anybody eat those lollipops as a kid? Did they still have the lollipops or did they just have the little ones? I used to love those. So finally, after these next couple of ingredients, we actually get to the watermelon. And although there's a lot of like articles of watermelon and like people saying that watermelon has helped them so much, it was actually hard to find more medical based research for it. What I did found is that obviously watermelon has a ton of vitamin C. This can be super helpful in brightening the skin, in anti-aging. Vitamin C is also can double as a really good antioxidant. Could definitely be part of the scent. Again, this has a very strong scent, so I would assume that part of the watermelon is working in here. Watermelon can be a moisturizer, but the most scientifically backed claim that I could find for watermelon is the fact that it contains lycopene. Lycopene you might know from tomatoes. Tomatoes that are cooked have high levels of lycopene. And lycopene specifically is a carotenoid, a hydrocarbon-based carotenoid. And basically what that means is that it's in a lot of different fruits and veggies, and it's very, very helpful for you. It can help to tighten and create structural support for the skin. So again, our skin is made up of multiple layers, but the lycopene specifically helps to keep the skin working properly and strong. And I believe that it does that through a mechanism of action that actually impacts the DNA. Again, like the blueprint of how our skin is being built. So that is lycopene in general. Watermelon does have lycopene. Seeing as this is in such a low amount in this product, I believe it's below the 1% line. I don't actually know, like, this is not going to be some sort of miracle cream for you, but it is good that they have it in there. Again, it's a good moisturizer, but don't expect miracles overnight, and don't pay this money for a miracle overnight. Can help over time, but I wouldn't make like major claims about this. Then we have silica. Silica is a penetrator and a thickener. Penetrators basically help to bring other molecules deeper, and you want these really good ingredients to get as deep as they can, which is great. And it's also a thickener. So again, because the base of this formula is water, maybe it was a little bit too liquidy, and this is kind of what helped to thicken that up so that, you know, it can actually be applied to the skin and feel a little bit like a mask. After silica, we do have propanediol. So propanediol stops water loss from happening in the skin. I wouldn't call it a moisturizer, but it kind of sits on top of the skin and it creates a little bit like a barrier. So again, this is really good for people who do have slightly drier skin. And then the only thing about propanediol is that it can be irritating. Some people, I believe, who have nicks in the skin or marks in the skin, or who are prone to some issues could have sensitivities or allergies to it. And again, there are a lot of plant extracts in here, and if you are allergic to fragrances or plant extracts, I wouldn't use this. There are no essential oils, but there are a lot of other things. And again, the more things we have in here, the more possibility there is to create sensitivity. So just keep that in mind. Then we get into our acids, specifically glycolic acid and lactic acid. These are both AHA acids that we've talked about all the time on this channel. And if you haven't learned about them, please go watch some of the related videos we've done because they're so phenomenal for your skin. Alpha hydroxy acids are water soluble. Again, this is a water-based product, so we're all good to go. And the way these work is really by exfoliating the skin. Glycolic acid has one of the smallest molecules, so it gets super deep into the skin, and these are great for brightening. They can help with scars. If you get acne or if your skin gets like little red marks or pigmentation spots, this can really help to lift those and to make sure that those don't stick around, which is really, really great. Now, the thing that you do want to remember is that lactic acid and glycolic acid can be irritating. You don't want to go into the sun with these, so please keep that in mind. But overall, they can be really great for scarring and a really great ingredient inside of skincare. So I like to see them in here. I just don't know what percentage they are at. So after our glycolic acid is first, then our lactic acid, then they put some pumpkin fruit extract in there. And when I first thought of pumpkin fruit extract, you know what I thought of? Cindy Crawford. Do you remember how Cindy Crawford had those infomercials on TV and she was like, my doctor made my skin look young. He got me this special melon extract and you better pay $60 for my Cindy Crawford Magnificent line or whatever the hell it was. Cindy Crawford is beautiful, she is talented, she's super sweet in person, but it is a lot of dermatologists and it is a lot of more expensive products that are doing that to her skin and probably just damn good genetics, not some freaking pumpkin extract. Now, pumpkin, I did find some interesting findings on it, but that's what initially came to my mind when I heard of Cindy Crawford. I thought of like her magical melon extract. The thing about pumpkin fruit extract is that it is inherently different than pumpkin seed extract. You know, pumpkins have the pulp and then they have the actual seeds. And the seeds are going to be much richer in oils, whereas the pulp itself is going to be richer in things like vitamins or minerals or nutrients. So the thing that's really in the fruit of the pumpkin, again, the outer shell, which is what's being used in this product, is the enzyme. Enzymes, they work a lot in the body, and specifically when applied to skin, they can be used as an exfoliator. There are some vitamins here, and I did find some sources that said that it contains vitamin E. Vitamin E is also very good for scarring, tocopherol acetate, tocopherol. Vitamin E and this pumpkin extract and this pumpkin fruit in general are also really good for tissue repair. There was a study that was done on mice, I believe, and it specifically showed that there was wound healing and burn healing benefits from using pumpkin. So if you do tend to get like little scabs or things like that, and if you're not, you know, having issues with these other ingredients, this could potentially hydrate the skin and provide a little bit of wound healing. Now, if you're really looking to heal your wounds, I would go out and buy like pure pumpkin fruit extract. I wouldn't use this product, but it's nice that it's in there and it's probably not going to be damaging. Next, we have pomegranate, and I was a little bit confused by that because, again, I couldn't find a lot of information about pomegranate. I really think that the pomegranate in here is being used as a fragrance, just because when you smell it, it kind of smells like a watermelon pomegranate Jolly Rancher. But pomegranate does have omega-5, which is punicic acid. Now, this is not only a scent, but it is hydrating. Again, almost all omega fatty acids have some sort of hydrating or emollient properties. That's just what fatty acids are by nature. This pomegranate one, I don't think it's super special. It is nice that it's in there, but, you know, hi kitty, it's not going to be like a game changer for you. Next, we have banana fruit. This is also something that I found very interesting. Kitty, do you think so too? She's like running around chasing her own tail. She's the one that we got from the car crash. She was a car crash kitten. And so like her name like is Felony. She's a little special in the brain, and like she walks into walls sometimes and she chases her own tail. And you know what? I don't judge her. Hi, Phil. Come say hi. She doesn't love me unless I feed her treats. Anyways, then we have banana fruit extract. Banana fruit is really high in vitamins A, vitamins E, and zinc. Now, I know that bananas do have vitamin C. For skin, I don't know how much of that is being used. Again, good vitamins, good trace minerals. I don't think it's super hydrating or moisturizing, but there could be more out there that I haven't been exposed to. There's not a lot of research on bananas, so I hope people do more research so that I can read it and so that you and I can discuss it and explore it together. Then we have peony fruit extract. Peony fruit or peony flower? Peony root extract, which was very interesting to me. Peony is a flower and it is very hydrating. I looked up kind of some of the biochemical applications. Again, these products, just because they're in here doesn't mean they're going to be great. We want to know how they work with the skin, and just because if you eat them or ingest them, they are healthy, doesn't mean they're going to have the same impact when applied topically. Again, oral and topical are two very different things. So what I did find is that peony root could be very brightening to the skin. It could make the skin look a little bit more radiant and a little bit more toned, specifically if you do have some sort of redness. And then peony root extract was high in polyphenols. So those, again, can really provide nourishment and help the skin look supple and fresh and glowing, which was nice. Then the next ingredient that we have is licorice extract. And this was super exciting because there is a lot of research done on licorice. Some studies actually say to avoid it because it could be harmful. I looked at some of these. I don't totally agree. But you should do the research for yourself. Don't take what I say as truth. Always do the research. And licorice does have some really great properties to it. Specifically, it is soothing. Really nice because of the way that it coats the skin and kind of rejuvenates it. It does help with uneven skin tone. So again, if you have little patches of redness or just skin that isn't completely in sync, even little patches of green, it is an antioxidant, which is great. And it has glyceric acid. Glyceric, it's a name that I have a hard time pronouncing, and I again will link you all of my studies and the citations that I'm using. but it is a gel forming agent and it is anti-inflammatory. So again, glyceric acid. This is really great if you do tend to have inflammation of the skin, if you do have acne, if you do have dryness that is associated with kind of pain and itchiness. Licorice can be really, really wonderful. So it's something you might want to look for. Then we have this cabbage extract. Cabbage in a dietary sense is very, very healthy, especially if it is fermented. Fermented cabbage is a great source of probiotics, but again, we're not talking about the dietary impact, we're talking about the topical impact. And this specifically said cabbage, not cabbage ferment. This was just the cabbage leaf extract. So all I could find on the leaf extract was some vitamin C. Again, that's going to help to like brighten up the skin. And then a couple of studies showed that it was tightening. So again, adding a little bit of that suppleness to the skin, which is good, but at the amount that's in here, I don't think it's doing a whole lot. Next, we have this sweet potato. Sweet potato is high in vitamin A. It is anti-inflammatory. It has more beta carotene, which again, we saw a little bit earlier, and it could help with redness. I think that's really great. The ingredient after that is betaine. This was super, super exciting to me because betaine is a humectant and it is a hydrant. So again, just the way hyaluronic acid grabs onto water and locks it into the skin, this as a humectant kind of does the same thing. And in studies, it was actually shown to decrease the size and the appearance of wrinkles. Doesn't mean that it's reversing wrinkles. It's this temporary kind of plumping, but it does work if you use it. When you stop using it, the results go away. So betaine, that's really interesting. Then we have, where are we? Yes, we have beta-glucan. Now this is awesome, and I don't know what source they're using, but a lot of beta-glucans come from oats. Think about oatmeal. If you cook it in the morning and then you just leave it outside to sit, you know how it kind of gets gelatinous? That is basically why this is working in this formula. Not only is it giving this kind of a nice texture to this actual formula, but it is super phenomenal for skin. It is an antioxidant. It does help with tissue repair. It is extraordinarily hydrating, and it really can just kind of support the skin overall. Specifically, if you do have eczema or psoriasis, there have been a lot of studies that look at oats, specifically oats and the beta-glucans from oats and how they work for people with eczema or psoriasis. So if you suffer from that, go seek out oat products or products with beta-glucan in it. This is one, so I think this is safe if you do have some of those issues potentially. But again, if you're dealing with something like eczema or psoriasis, you're going to need some more powerful stuff than like a K-beauty cream. You know what I mean? Next thing that we have is, I think this is where we get to our stabilizers. Yes, then we have hydroxyethyl cellulose. This is found in the Truth Serum from Ulla Henriksen. Think of cellulose as like fruits and vegetables. You know how celery stands up straight? It's because of cellulose that it has that structure. So hydroxyethyl cellulose is basically this kind of goopy consistency that is plant-derived that goes into a lot of cosmetic formulations and ingredients to help it smooth onto the skin, and it can be hydrating to the skin. So it's cool that that's in here. After the hydroxyethyl cellulose, we do have xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is used in cooking a lot. It's a replacement for gelatin. And again, this is just another gelling agent. I think that because I would say like more than 90% of this product is water, that it probably came out very liquidy inside of the manufacturing process. And so in order to fix that in R&D, in testing, they decided to make it a little bit more gummy with some of these ingredients. So again, xanthan gum is kind of like a binder. Then we have alcohol, and some alcohols are hydrating, some alcohols are soothing to the skin. This one doesn't seem to be. This one just looks like straight up alcohol. It's probably why this kind of sits on the skin well. This is also probably why the fragrance is so intense. When alcohol evaporates off, it kind of like brings things into the air, and that's probably why I can like physically smell this, and my nose is not that great. I don't like the alcohol in here. For some people who are sensitive, I wouldn't use it. Some people avoid it with dry skin. I think that the other ingredients in here still merit using it with alcohol. Again, I like this for dry skin, but keep in mind that it is in there. And then very last, we do have fragrance. Again, smells like a watermelon Jolly Rancher. I really wish that they would take the fragrance out because I don't give a shit about what it smells like. I just want it to work on my skin. So who is this good for? If you do need a little bit of skin hydration, if you're looking for something lightweight that you can wear overnight, it is a really beautiful formula. And if you're interested in getting into K-beauty, it really is phenomenal. The thing is that if you have major issues to treat, if you are trying to actually treat eczema or psoriasis or dry patchy skin, you're going to need a much more potent set of ingredients. So this is great. I do think it's worth the money. It is more of a luxury product than a necessity, but Korean beauty is also super trendy. So if you want to jump on that bandwagon, yet you don't want to contribute to animal cruelty, this is a really good way to do so. And again, I like it. I've been using it on and off for a couple of years. I used it during the winter this year, and that's what I think. So again, here's a video on fragrances. Here's another scientific-based video on acne and algae you might enjoy. And thank you guys for your patience and for your love and support this week. I hope you know that I appreciate it, and I love you. See you in the next beautiful video, my beautiful butterflies. Bye.